Hey, Rob here for Quadratec.com. The time has come to finally start my Gladiator build. Now, you guys have seen my truck used in a number of different videos for the past few months, everything ranging from some product reviews to some installation videos. Namely, you saw us install those Oracle Oculus Headlights, the Rugged Ridge Amphib Snorkel, and the Bestop Sunrider for Hardtop. Most recently, we used my truck to showcase the Fab 4's rear bumper and overland rack. Now, it's pretty clear to see that some of those parts are no longer installed on my Jeep. And while we will use my truck from time to time to install things so that we can demonstrate them for you guys, we then remove them after we're finished with the video, because ultimately I do have a goal and a plan for how I want my truck to look when I'm finished with the build. Now, before I dive into what those details are going to be for my Gladiator, I just wanted to take a second to address the topic on a lot of people's minds currently, and that is, of course, the coronavirus situation. Now, just like most of you out there across the country, we are on a level of lockdown here in Pennsylvania, and we released a video just a couple days ago explaining some of the steps and measures we're taking here at Quadratec to keep our employees safe, as well as you, our customers, and try to keep getting some product out to you guys while we can so that you can keep busy during this time. Now, we have taken protective measures for our warehouse fulfillment team, and most of our office staff is currently working remotely. And while those levels of precaution didn't stop with our video team, so if I take out my phone here, I can show you guys, well, right now, it's just me in the shop. There's nobody, we'll get back to that in a second, but there's nobody here with me. It really is just me. Now, normally our video team is made up of myself, Tim, and Eric, but we've decided, in the sake of safety and good social distancing practices, we're going to keep it to one person here in the shop at a time. Now, that being said, we can get back to the topic at hand here, my build. Of course, just like most of you, I take a lot of satisfaction in working on my Jeep, and it's a great stress reliever. I get a lot of enjoyment out of wrenching on my Jeep, installing new parts, of course, going wheeling, and this is the perfect time to continue to do that. We are still currently shipping products, so if you guys are looking at picking up something new for your Jeep, this is the perfect time to spend some time out in your garage or your driveway wrenching on your Jeep, passing some time, maybe spend some time with your family, and of course, it's a great stress reliever to get your hands a little bit dirty and work on your Jeep. Now, I did have the opportunity to get my Jeep out on the trails just a little while back. We took it up to Anthracite Outdoor Adventure Area with a couple other employees here at Quadratec, and while the Gladiator did perform really well out on the trails, it's definitely a long vehicle. Of course, I knew that going into it, and the breakover angle here definitely needs a little bit of help. I was dragging those skid plates underneath on quite a few obstacles throughout the day. So the first thing that I want to tackle here with my Gladiator is, of course, to get a little more ground clearance under there. And I'm going to be installing the Rock Crawler 3-inch Pro X No Limit Stage 1 suspension on here. That means all new coil springs, control arms, track bar for the front, but not for the rear. Now, out back, it's actually a triangulated 4-link system that uses a truss on the rear axle, and we'll come back to some of the details on that when I get to it. It also means it's going to be time to install some new wheels and tires. Now, you guys got a little sneak peek at some 1552 wheels that we had installed on my Gladiator for the 1552 brand overview video a little while back, but I made a little bit of a change to those wheels. We can check that out now. So as you can see, I went with the 1552 Traverse HD wheel for my Gladiator build. There's a number of things that drew me to this wheel. Now, of course, as you can see, I went ahead and made a little bit of a change to this wheel. Out of the box, it's available in your choice of a black or a bronze finish, but I really wanted a red wheel for my truck, so I had these custom powder coated in an anodized red finish that should complement both the red dash and some of the other red accents found on my truck, I think, really, really well. Now, as I mentioned, some of the things I liked about this wheel were this great concave look to the face. It's got a kind of a simple design to it. It's not overly busy, but one of the biggest things that drew me to this wheel was the really cool look of this simulated beadlock ring, this protection ring on the wheel here. It's going to offer some protection to the face of the wheel and the valve stem, but with this really cool ventilated look to it, it's not going to trap any water or mud buildup behind it. It's going to allow it to drain out. I really love that about this wheel. Now I decided to go with a traditional wheel over a beadlock because I am going to be driving my truck a fair amount. And most beadlocks, as you know, are not street legal. And that's because they come with a lot of maintenance and upkeep. You need to make sure that you're keeping all of the beadlock ring bolts torqued to within their specs. If one of those starts to come loose, you can start breaking bolts. It can become a hazard if you're on the road. And that's why I wanted to go with a more traditional style, non-beadlock wheel for my truck. That being said, I decided to wrap those 1552 Traverse HD wheels in a set of Nitto Trail Grappler mud terrains. These are a 37 1250 tire. Again, these are going to offer me a nice balance between driving my truck on the road as well as on the trail. Nitto did a great job at keeping this mud terrain tire reasonably quiet when you're on the road, but it still has a lot of aggressive tread to give me great traction when we're out on the trail. And the 37-inch size, I think, is a great balance between giving me some extra ground clearance while not being an overly big tire. And a lot of guys out there are going to a 40-inch tire right now. But being that I'm going to be driving my truck a fair amount, I think a 37 is going to be a really good balance. Now, we can get to that suspension, and just like with these wheels, well, I did something a little bit special with that rock crawler kit. So as you can see, I changed up the look of the control arms in the Rock Crawler Pro X kit. These come from Rock Crawler in a black powder coat finish, and I had them recoated in the same anodized red that I had put on those wheels from 1552. Now, I think this red coating looks absolutely killer on the control arms, and I want to promise you guys out there that I'm not building a show Jeep. I'm definitely going to be wheeling my Jeep and hitting some trails. And you know what? If I pick up some scuffs and scratches on here, that's just something I'm going to be okay with because I really think this anodized red finish looks killer on here. Now, these arms will all show up from Rock Crawler pre-assembled with all the bushings and ends installed. I had to go ahead and remove all that, of course, so that I could send them out for powder coating. Now that they're back and they're finished, I need to go ahead and get everything unpacked so that I can begin reassembling all the arms before we install them on the Jeep. So at this point, I've got the bushing in the track bar reassembled, as well as both front upper control arms have been assembled. And now moving on to one of the rear upper control arms, I went ahead and pressed in the bushing here in the crawler joint using the bench press. And then it's held in place with one of these retainers on each side. Now those retainers will require the use of the crawler joint tool from Rock Crawler to remove and reinstall those. And once they're in, they need to be torqued down to 25 foot-pounds. Then you can go ahead and reinstall the set screws, and you want to make sure that you are applying some thread locker to both the retainers and the set screws when you're reinstalling those. At this point, if we flip the arm around, go ahead and reinstall the other end of the arm here, and it's always a good idea to apply a liberal amount of anti-seize to the threads before installing the adjustable ends. I like to apply some to the threads here, as well as also some down in the end of the arm. And you don't want to forget, take the opportunity while the arm is disassembled to apply some anti-seize on the top end of the threads here behind our jam nut, because once we have it all reassembled, of course, we're going to lose some of the adjustability there. Go ahead and back that jam nut all the way down, and then we can thread the end into the control arm. For now, I'm going to go ahead and leave that adjustable end threaded all the way into the arm. I'll come back and I'll measure them and set them to the correct length before I begin the installation on my Jeep. Really, at this point, I've just got to go ahead and repeat those same steps to finish assembling the remaining 5 arms here in the Rock Crawler Pro X kit. If you guys haven't already, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you're sure to catch the rest of the buildup of my Gladiator, as well as plenty more from me here at Quadratec. Until next time, I'm Rob. I'll see you guys out on the trail.